What's going on, everybody? Jason here, bringing you a quick update on my new sump build. And I want to start off first with the results of my water test I did here, which show that my sump is working great. My pH, not a big deal, it's always kind of the same. My ammonia is, try to get out of glare here, is between 0 and 0.25, probably more in the 0.25 ppm, which is good, just fine. Nitrites are 0, and I shook the frickin' heck out of this thing, and right now my nitrates are only 5.0 ppms, which is awesome. That's a really good water test right there. I expected the nitrates to be low because of setting that up. It was basically one huge massive water change. But anyway, my parameters are really good. And I'll show you a couple of things I did to my sump and what's going on with it. So there's the setup, same as it was before. It's running good. My water has cleared up pretty well. It's not perfectly clear, but it's getting there. First couple of days I had a fairly foggy white haze. Pretty sure I had a bacteria bloom going on. I think my tank was somewhat cycling again, so I went ahead and bought some Cecum Stability, which is basically beneficial bacteria that helps stabilize your tank very quickly, add some bacteria. I dumped that right into my sump, and within about a day and a half, my water cleared up, and I think that's why my parameters are really good. Okay, onto the overflow box. It is working really good. As you can see, all the air bubbles that were sticking to everything are completely gone. You can see the air bubbles shooting through it. It's working really good, no air pockets. And as you can see, it's really quiet, and I'll see if I can do a close-up and show you guys what I did. I took out what came with it, and all I did was cut a piece of my own sponge and stick it all the way down at the bottom. As you can see, it's nowhere near clogging up, and it's really quieted down more than anything. You can actually kind of see some food in there that's floated in there. It's still not clogged up. The overflow box works really good skimming from the surface. The surface of my water is crystal clear. And I gotta be careful feeding now because, man, you could just see the food floating over there and getting sucked in, so I gotta feed them like way on right side corner of the tank to make sure they get all the food. But yeah, putting that little sponge in there, my own sponge, really helped out a lot. I don't see that clogging up at all. At least I would notice it. The return, just using my bio-wheel filter just as a disbursement, working good. It's actually really quiet. It's no louder than before than having two bio-wheel filters running. It's not any louder. Down to the sump. I went ahead into Home Depot and bought myself a sheet of acrylic, about almost 1/4 inch thick. I made a top because, like I saw in many videos, your water evaporates out of your sump very quickly. The first night, an inch of water evaporated just overnight. Quite a bit. Actually, not a lot of water as far as, I mean, just this section, 1/2 inch. That's maybe, I want to say, a pint. But as far as the sump goes, that's a big deal. So I went ahead and made this acrylic top, which is already warping. That's kind of why I hate doing that. We'll see how long that top lasts. But I cut some holes for the cords and the hoses, and you can see all the condensation. There's actually 2 pieces here because the sheet wasn't big enough. But so just in the course of the last day and a half, it's only gone down half as much having the top on there. So the top is definitely a must. One of you guys mentioned how the condensation may actually affect the stand. Not sure about that, but it's definitely better having that top on there. Heaters are working good. Brought my temperature back up to about 79, 80 degrees. And the way this sump is working is actually really cool. A lot of things are happening here I did not realize. Now you can see a lot of these bubbles coming from the overflow box coming down to my tank. And the one thing that's really cool is none of these bubbles are going into my tank, because these are starting from the bottom, it's overflowing, coming into the first chamber, and it's just swirling around and dissipating, and that's it. That's where the bubbles stop. None of these bubbles are going through the rest of the tank. Or the sump, sorry. This is where the bubbles are, this is where they congregate, disappear, and that's it. My sponge and filter floss is really keeping this tank clean. You can see how dirty this is already starting to get, mainly on this side. And there's the Biohome Media and the sponges from my already cycled filters, the Bio Wheel. Can't really see in there that well anymore because the condensation, but it's no, the sump's working great. I'm glad I did a lot of research on this and planned this out really good. It's doing exactly what I wanted it to do. So I named all my fish a while back. You know, my Jaguar is Magneto. The Jack Dempsey is Wolverine. The Green Terror is Mystique. My daughter named the Jewel Julie. And the Salvini I named Sal. So that's the names of my fish. I am considering putting an Oscar in here. My local fish store has some of these small 2-inch Oscars, albino, the white Oscars. They're like $8, and man, oh, I really want to get one. I always regret getting an Oscar because I always had like a 55-gallon tank, and they grow big and they grow fast and they just poop all over the freaking place. And I'm really worried about having a rivalry toward my Jaguar. All these guys are kind of staying the same as far as size. You know, my Jaguar's the biggest, goes down to the Jack Dempsey, the Green Terror, the Jewel, and the Salvini. But if I put an Oscar in there, he will get bigger than anybody in this tank real quick, within about 6 months. And that's kind of what I'm worried about. I don't want a whole lot of fighting. These guys surprisingly are really getting along. So they're really still skittish of me. After I put the Salvini and the Jewel in there, they kind of started coming out more. Oh, there's Magneto. But now they're kind of skittish again. I guess they just like to hide. The guy at my pet store recommended maybe putting some semi-aggressive schooling fish in here to kind of make them feel more comfortable. Sal doesn't seem very shy. He's got some nice colors on him. Looks like Magneto wants to come out and play a little bit. Man, he's getting beautiful. Okay, now with that sump running, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out some thicker sponges to fit into my Bio Wheel filter. I have one filter left that's just now in a box. I'm going to get some sponges and cut them to fit, and then I'm going to stick them in that sump to help them cycle, because this weekend, Saturday, I'm going to start gathering product to make a saltwater tank. Dion has been my main inspiration now for about the last couple of weeks in starting a saltwater tank, plus some other guys. I watched Mike Mass from Mass Aquariums a couple of years ago set up a little saltwater tank, and I found a deal. I can get a 20-gallon tank, a glass top, and a coral light for $60. So I'll use my Bio Wheel filter for that. I'll figure out some kind of stand. Or I don't know if I'll use the Bio Wheel filter. Maybe I'll make a sump. I don't know. But the nice thing about having this sump is I can put all kinds of stuff in there that have already cycled media to set up other tanks. So, but anyway, I can get the tank, a glass top, and a coral light for $60. He said he'd also throw in some live sand, but I don't know if I want to use somebody else's sand. But so that's my next series. You know, I got to be competitive over here. If Dion is setting up a saltwater tank, then I got to set up a saltwater tank. And I got to see if it can work. So my wife really wants some Nemo fish, some clownfish. So hopefully that'll be my next series. I can't pick any of that up till this Saturday. And so I'm going to use my sump to start cycling some sponges for that already. So that's the update, guys. Thanks for watching, and you guys have a good one out there.